Once there lived a king who had 14 sons and 5 daughters. They all were grown-ups. The king loved each one of them. But his children were wicked in their hearts. They did not love him back as he did. His sons were drawn to the pleasures of life such as women, and some ran after power. They tried to kill their father many times. But every time the king's servant, his loyal guards, the 2 maggii defend the life of the king. The 2 maggii loved their king and wanted to serve their master. The king was very generous and wanted his children to be such. But his children did not pay heed to his words. Once the king fell really ill. He was unable to urinate, and all the sons and daughters did not pay attention to his health. The medical advisors told the king to get the hair of the golden monkey that was guarded by the lions of the Kazan with powerful claws that would tear the man with their roar. The golden monkey's hair had the virtue to heal every kind of ailment, no matter how severe it may be. None of his children paid attention to the advisors. The maggii were called and were told the assignment. The maggii agreed at once and asked the king to order them to march towards the land of the golden monkey. The king ordered, and the maggii went to bring the strand of hair of the monkey. The maggii passed through the tough lands, roaring oceans, and rough deserts, and finally made it to the land of the golden monkey. It was the time when they must encounter the lions of the Kazan, which were powerful. The maggii were brave and fearless, and their loyalty for their king was sure. One of them fought the tough lions and tear its jaws apart, and the other went into the jungle to seek the strand of the hair. As he approached towards the monkey, he saw a hare fallen on the ground of the jungle and picked up the hare and ran. The jungle went against them. The storms occurred, the winds roared, and the wild beasts were mad at the stealth of the hare. Anyhow, the maggii were able to escape and recover the strand of the hair of the monkey. The maggii returned to the king and gave the strand to the medical advisor, and they made a medicine of the strand and gave it to the king. The king began to recover and was healed in a few days. The king became fond of the maggii, and they were his right-hand men. He did not see his children but always sought his beloved 2 maggii. One day the king discussed with the maggii about his children. He was confused about who will be king after passes away. He asked the maggii to be loyal and be their true guidance after he passes away. The maggii swore with blood that they and their descendants would serve the king and his family forever. The king loved the maggii. Now he wanted to make his children come together and be wise. The maggii and the king discussed this matter seriously. The maggii said unto the king about the God of wisdom who dwells in heaven, who shall give his children a wise heart to rule. The king went to the gods and offered his prayer, and during his return to home, he heard the news of the other kingdoms attacking his kingdom, from all directions. The king decided not to return to the kingdom and put all the responsibility of the war upon his 14 sons. The maggii returned and said that their father is ill and had to rest at the Mount of Prayer. He sent a message that their father wanted them to fight the battle and win it. It's in their hand to defend the kingdom. Now the sons were brought to senses that had they been fighting among themselves, but now, they need to defend the kingdom from the enemy together. They came up together and decided to defend the kingdom. They knew that they would die anyway if they did not battle. So, they pulled their courage and came up together and planned everything. The faithful maggii were guiding and instructing the sons to fight. The sons realized the wisdom of their father and how he protected them and his kingdom. They began to realize his love for them and his kingdom. The wisdom in them flowed. The maggii watched everything and were happy. The sense of responsibility awoke in them, and they began to work in unity, and they chose their second brother to be the commander of the army and the eldest to be first in command to everyone. Now the armies of the enemies marched towards the battleground. The 14 sons, all dressed up in the mighty armors and swords, stood as the raging lions that were all set to devour the enemies before them. The armies of the enemies were sore afraid to see the mighty men before them, standing unified. For the enemies took advantage of the disintegrity of the brothers and the kingdom became an easy target to win. But as they now stood as unified, the enemies trembled in their boots. The maggii were by their side. The battle began and the slaughter made by the sons was uncountable. Each son killed 1,000 men in the battle. The shout of the victory was great in the battleground. The sons of the king won the battle and spoils of the battle were the kingdoms of the defeated foes. They defeated 5 kingdoms in the battle and held the control over all the 5 kingdoms. These 5 kingdoms were given to the 5 sons of the king. Now they were united and had more land, influence, and power. They had great army. They took the armies and decided to take over other lands and enlarge their territory. Whenever they went to gain the territory, they fought the battle together and they won almost 28 kingdoms and each brother was owner of 2 kingdoms. The maggii reported everything to the father and the father heard of the sons and thanked the God to have given his sons the gift of wisdom and love. The God have over-answered his prayer. He was at peace. Now he returned to the kingdom. The maggii brought the king back to the great palace at the capital city of the vast kingdom. The sons greeted their father and brought their father who is the true king of the kingdom to the throne, but the father was content crowned his eldest son to be the king. The kingdom was at great joy. The father said unto the son to always trust the maggii after him. He said that the maggii will father you after his departure. The father gave up his spirit and the sons wept over their father as they wanted to love and return to their father. The maggii became their right-hand men and served them. Their descendants have always been faithful to them. They will always be the protector of the kingdom and the king. Their secret, treasures and valuables are still protected by the maggii of the Kadosh. None should awaken the legacy of the 14 legends that they may be honored. A secret was revealed only to the maggii, as they were the ones who were faithful unto the king. They are the keepers of the secret which shall be untold.